supposed to be partners in this. Don't we all want to find out who killed Charlie Kirk? And the answer is no. We don't all want to find out who killed Charlie Kirk. I think that's apparent, right? It's pretty obvious that we do not all want to find out who murdered Charlie Kirk because they're not acting right. Nobody is acting right now, and it's stunning.
Joe Rogan literally froze mid-sentence on his podcast when Candace Owens dropped a bombshell, leaked footage the world was never supposed to see. The tension in the room was unreal. Something about Charlie Kirk's case just doesn't sit right, and Candace isn't letting it slide. Not this time. While most people are staying quiet, pretending not to see the cracks, she's out here pulling receipts that make powerful people very nervous. You're about to witness footage that's been buried, reactions that don't line up, and behavior that screams something deeper is going on. The people who should be mourning look off, and the ones who should be talking are staying way too silent. Candace Owens has gone full investigative mode, digging through every angle, and what she uncovered has the internet in complete shock. So here's the rundown before we hit the wild part. The leaks. Charlie Kirk's death happened on a university campus in Utah, and the official version? Authorities say a 21-year-old suspect was arrested, and that's it. Case closed. But hold up, the story they're selling doesn't add up, like not even close. There are gaps big enough to drive a convoy through. That's exactly when Candace decided she wasn't buying the script anymore. She went looking for answers, and what she found flipped the entire narrative upside down. Even Joe Rogan, who's heard just about every wild conspiracy under the sun, couldn't believe how sketchy this one sounds. Because here's the truth. Charlie Kirk wasn't just another campus figure, and this wasn't some random tragedy.
We are making so many discoveries in this case, and I have to tell you guys, we're getting close. We're getting close. Very close, I think, to what actually happened on that day. And I'm getting the suspicion that there were some foreign entities involved.
There's something bigger here, something people don't want the public to question. So, buckle up, because what Candace just revealed might change how you see this whole story forever. Candace Owens just said something that sent shockwaves through the entire internet. She went on record claiming, "We're getting close to knowing who really took out Charlie Kirk." But then came the twist that made even her own supporters freeze. She followed it up by saying, "Maybe we don't actually want to know the truth." Wait, what? Why would anyone say that? Why wouldn't people want to know what really happened? She looked straight into the camera and asked, "Don't we all want to find out who killed Charlie Kirk?" Then answered her own question, "No, we don't." It was chilling. She said out loud what everyone else had been too afraid to admit, that some people out there might not want this mystery solved. It's the kind of statement that makes you stop scrolling and just stare at the screen. And then came the part that really hit. Candace said, "We are making so many discoveries in this case." You could hear the disbelief in her voice, like even she couldn't believe what she'd uncovered. Remember, this is Candace Owens, a woman who's seen chaos, lies, and corruption up close. And even she sounded shaken. But then she took it to another level, saying something that made everyone's spine tingle. "I'm getting the suspicion that there were some foreign entities involved." Foreign entities.
Egyptian military subcontractors. What are Egyptian military subcontractors doing in the middle of Provo, Utah on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated? Okay, again, I am saying as a fact, Kash Patel, please feel free to dispute this. In fact, I almost demand that you dispute it. I think you must. You've been saying everybody's a conspiracy theorist. These conspiracies are dangerous. Thinking is dangerous.
On American soil, that one sentence had viewers' jaws on the floor. We're not talking about some lone figure here. Candace was hinting at potential international involvement in what happened to Charlie Kirk. Think about that for a second. This isn't a simple case anymore. We're talking about someone possibly reaching across borders to make sure certain people never speak again. The question now isn't just who did it, but why would anyone try so hard to bury the truth? What exactly did Candace stumble upon that even her team can't fully explain yet? And why does it sound like some of the people in power are doing everything possible to keep this quiet? Hold on tight, because the next thing she revealed sounds straight out of a spy thriller. And it's about to get even darker. Candace Owens just dropped one of her biggest revelations yet. Egyptian military contractors were reportedly in Utah on the exact same day Charlie Kirk lost his life. Let that sink in for a second. It sounds unreal, right? But here's the kicker. Candace isn't asking anyone to blindly believe her. She's daring the public to prove her wrong. She's literally throwing down the gauntlet and saying, "Go ahead, fact check me." That's how confident she is in what she's uncovered. Candace isn't tossing wild theories into the air, she's demanding answers.
That aircraft was not in Utah for any routine servicing, okay? Rather extraordinarily, this person told me that it was there on some discreet mission. So discreet that this individual was scared for their life to present this information, but felt compelled to present it because they too were horrified, like the rest of the world. Again, the mistake that was made here was executing him publicly. People felt something, right? They felt something. They understood whatever happened here was a...
Every single word she said is backed by something that's been quietly circulating behind the scenes. Then she hit everyone with a major revelation that the aircraft linked to these contractors wasn't in Utah for anything routine. This wasn't a pit stop, it wasn't a scheduled checkup. This was something else entirely. According to Candace, someone on the inside confirmed that the plane had a different mission. And that detail alone has people spiraling online. But here's the scariest part. That whistleblower who came forward, they were terrified. Candace said they were so afraid for their life that they almost didn't reveal anything at all. Imagine that, risking everything just to get a single truth out into the light. So now picture it. A military aircraft from Egypt lands quietly in a small Utah town, completely under the radar. The same day Charlie Kirk is shot, no announcements, no news coverage, nothing, just silence. And you can't help but ask, what exactly were they doing there? What kind of mission involves foreign military contractors operating in that area on that specific date? It's the kind of coincidence that just feels way too calculated. Candace made it clear, these aren't random internet rumors. These are documented movements that someone literally risked their life to leak. That changes everything. And it gets even deeper. Because Candace wasn't just investigating after Charlie was gone, she actually knew him. They talked, they exchanged private messages, and now, looking back, those messages sound like warnings. Things Charlie said that didn't make sense at the time suddenly feel haunting, like he was trying to tell her something before it was too late. Candace Owens didn't just drop theories, she released private messages between her and Charlie Kirk, and what's inside them will make your stomach drop. These weren't casual chats about life or politics.
We're supposed to believe the official narrative of what happened to Charlie Kirk. Mikey McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, was on the phone before Charlie's body ever hit the ground. He was still on the phone as he was walking away. What could he have possibly been talking about? Because he has no idea what was happening behind him. Charlie's closest allies and friends were filming themselves while he was being carried out to the car. No instinct to run and help him or run away. Sorry, but this isn't normal no matter which way you put this. Candace is the only one digging into what actually happened, which is why they're attacking her so hard for it. Not to mention, she released even more messages.
These were the words of a man who knew something was coming. You can literally feel the tension in every line. In one of the leaked texts, Charlie wrote, "I'm not sure if I'll live to see the end of this revolution." Read that again. He wasn't being dramatic. He was scared, genuinely scared. This wasn't some random thought or late night paranoia. This was a man facing real threats, feeling the walls closing in. Then he sends Candace something that stopped people cold. "I believe you are the piece that God meant for me to meet." He wasn't just saying she inspired him. He believed their meeting was divine, like fate had connected them for a higher reason. And what came next sent chills through everyone who read it. Charlie asked her, "Be my David." If you know the Bible, you know exactly what that means. David was the one who faced Goliath, the impossible giant no one else dared to fight. Charlie was telling Candace, if something happens to me, you have to be the one to face them. You have to speak for me. That message alone turned this from tragedy into prophecy. Candace said it herself. Charlie knew what he was getting into. He wasn't paranoid or delusional. He was realistic. He understood the kind of powerful people he was challenging and how far they might go to stop him. He wasn't planning for fame, he was planning for survival. And deep down, he knew he might not make it out alive. So the real question becomes, what did Charlie know that made him fear for his own life? What could possibly be so explosive, so dangerous that he thought his days were numbered? And just when you think it couldn't get darker, Candace released never-before-seen footage from moments after Charlie was shot. What you're about to hear doesn't make sense at all, because the people who were right there...
Of Charlie saying, "I'm not sure if I'll live to see the end of this revolution." And tells Candace, "I believe you're the piece that God meant for me to meet. Cannot explain it, but I dream of it all the time." And then says, "If that's the case, be my David."
The ones closest to him didn't react the way anyone would expect. There wasn't chaos, there wasn't panic. Their behavior, completely off. Something about that scene felt wrong, like everyone there already knew what was about to happen. You'd expect total chaos in a moment like that, with panic, screams, someone rushing to help. You'd expect people crying, trying to stop the bleeding, calling for help. something. But according to the footage Candace leaked, that's not what happened at all. What you're about to hear feels off, like a scene from a movie that doesn't match reality. One of Charlie's close friends did something that stunned everyone watching the video. Instead of running toward Charlie to help, he ran away, just a few yards up a grassy hill. And what he did next is what's got the internet losing its mind. He didn't call 911, he didn't grab someone for help, he took out his phone. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. He didn't record the scene to show what happened. He recorded himself, like a selfie video. You can hear him say, "They just shot Charlie." He said it calm, almost robotic. So he knew what had happened, but didn't do a single thing to help his friend. And then, without hesitation, he says, "He's dead." Just like that, no emotion, no disbelief, just flat words. But here's the chilling part. That was the first time anyone publicly said Charlie was dead, before paramedics, before the police, before any official announcement. How did he know that so fast? He wasn't next to Charlie checking a pulse. He was yards away filming himself. It doesn't make sense. The timeline's off, the reactions don't fit, and every second of that footage raises more questions than answers. People online keep replaying the clip, analyzing every frame, trying to figure out what's real and what's rehearsed.
I wonder if these same people who mocked Candace Owens for talking about a dream will mock Charlie for it as well. Clearly the people who are coming after Candace lack any sort of discernment. Instead, they play into the forgiveness done in public, like Charlie Kirk's wife did, and letting off fireworks for his rally, funeral. Candace is the only one digging into the truth of what happened. She's exposing all of the corruption and they hate her for it.
Because let's be honest, when someone you love gets hurt, your first instinct isn't to grab your phone for a selfie video. You don't think about content, you think about saving them. That's human nature. And that's why this video is haunting everyone who's seen it. The tone, the words, the total lack of urgency, it all feels staged. And that's when Joe Rogan stepped in. The man has interviewed thousands of people, from world leaders to conspiracy theorists, and he usually stays calm, collected, and neutral. But this story had him visibly shaken. He couldn't hide it. Even he said there's something about this case that doesn't add up. After that episode, things started spiraling fast. Joe Rogan hadn't even wrapped up his next podcast before clips from his conversation with Candace Owens were all over the internet. Millions of views in hours as people clipping, slowing down, analyzing every second of what Candace said. The comment section turned into a digital battlefield. Half of viewers calling it the biggest cover-up since Watergate. The other half saying Candace was playing with fire. But nobody could look away. Joe stayed quiet for a few days, which only made everyone more suspicious. Fans started posting clips of him pacing during other shows saying, "Look at him, he knows something." Some even claimed he was being watched, pointing out how security was suddenly tighter around the studio. Then, just when everyone thought he'd stay silent, Joe addressed it head on.
A friend of Charlie chose to run just a few yards away up to a grassy knoll to take out his phone. A couple of seconds later, he takes out his phone and he begins recording himself. It's a selfie video. He takes a video of himself. So let's watch that video.
They just shot Charlie.
He said, "I don't care who tries to spin this. Something about this whole case feels wrong. There's too much missing, too much silence." That one sentence reignited the chaos. Within hours, hashtags about Charlie Kirk's case were trending again, and Candace decided to push forward with what she called Phase 2. This time she came with audio, not video, not screenshots, actual audio recordings from a whistleblower she called Agent M. The clip was grainy but clear enough to make out voices. You could hear someone say, "They're not supposed to be here, this wasn't cleared." Then another voice answered, "It's already in motion, nothing we can do now." The timing, the tone, the tension, it all sounded real and it lined up with the exact day of Charlie's death. Candace released it live during her stream. You could literally see her hands shaking as she played it. She said, "You're listening to people who were part of the cover-up." Within minutes, her feed was glitching. The comments started flooding. "It's buffering. They're trying to cut her off." Some viewers said their screens froze right when she mentioned the name of a high-level contact. The internet went wild. Joe Rogan, meanwhile, went into research mode. He started calling in experts, retired intelligence officers, cybersecurity analysts, even a former pilot who claimed he'd flown similar foreign contract missions. That pilot confirmed something insane. Those kinds of flights don't just happen. You can't land in Utah without clearance from both federal and local agencies. If that plane was there, it was approved at the highest level. That line set the internet on fire. Approved at the highest level? By who?
And shut the fuck up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not gonna fit.
Not gonna fit in a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof. What? This story is horseshit. Like none of these things make any sense to me. Like you're telling me that.
That's when Candace dropped another hint, one that had people connecting dots nobody had dared to before. She said, the person who signed off on that clearance used to work directly with Charlie, and that's all I'll say for now. Boom. She didn't name names, but the implication alone sent shockwaves through political circles. In the days after that stream, strange things started happening. Candace's old posts began disappearing from social media. Not flagged, not removed for fact-checking. Completely gone like they were never uploaded. Her team reported issues accessing her backup servers. Then Joe's producer mentioned that some of their internal recordings from that podcast mysteriously got corrupted. Files that had been saved in multiple locations. Coincidence? Nobody believed that anymore. Rogan addressed it again in his next episode, saying, when random files start disappearing, when people suddenly back off a story, that's not coincidence. That's pressure. He even joked nervously, at this point, I'm expecting my coffee to come with a warning label. The laugh didn't land. The audience knew he was half serious. Meanwhile, independent journalists began to dig, publishing threads filled with screenshots, metadata, and timestamps. One investigator claimed there were classified correspondences between a defense contractor and an American media agency just hours before the incident. No one could prove it, but the claim alone made mainstream outlets scramble to issue debunking statements, which of course made it all look even more suspicious. Candace went live again and told her audience, if you think they're not watching us right now, think again. She said every time she brings up certain keywords, her stream buffers or cuts off.
This kid who's not military trained, this guy, first of all, how did he get to the roof? How come nobody was looking? How come nobody was like, there's a direct line of sight between where he's sitting and those roofs? You guys didn't check? You don't have a drone? Like, that's insane. So he's on the roof, he shoots, he jumps from the roof. He jumps down 14 feet.
Yeah, we saw didn't they have video of him jump? Somebody had a cell phone video of him jumping.
There's
down,
a video of him jumping. So this guy, whoever it is, jumps off of the roof and lands, whether or not he's even the guy who shot him.
And she wasn't exaggerating. Viewers caught real-time glitches every time she said Utah, clearance, or Charlie's messages. Then a shocker, one of Joe Rogan's former guests, a cybersecurity specialist, claimed he'd been contacted by someone asking him not to appear again on any show discussing the Kirk case. He said, when powerful people start calling you directly, you know you've hit a nerve. The internet exploded all over again. Fan theories flooded Reddit. Some claimed Candace was working with whistleblowers from inside government agencies. Others said Joe was sitting on more footage he didn't dare release yet. But the biggest question hovering over everything was this: if Candace and Joe are both telling the truth, who's controlling the silence? Because it's starting to look like the deeper they dig, the more things and people start disappearing. And trust me, what comes next takes this story somewhere nobody saw coming. When Joe Rogan finally sat down and studied every detail of Charlie Kirk's case, he couldn't just shrug it off. He looked shaken. This time, he wasn't cracking jokes or playing devil's advocate. He went straight for the jugular, tearing apart the official narrative line by line, and what he uncovered left his whole audience in disbelief. He started with the rifle story, the one the authorities keep repeating like a script. Joe looked right into the camera and said, they said he disassembled the gun, got it on the roof, and put it back together again? Shut up. That's not how that works. He wasn't buying it for a second. This man has talked to countless military experts and weapons specialists, and they all agreed. That version of events doesn't make sense. Then Joe dropped the line that summed up what everyone was already thinking. It's nonsense, man. None of this adds up. And he's right. The questions he asked cut straight through the official story. How did a non-military trained suspect even get up to that rooftop unnoticed? How did he supposedly reassemble a rifle with precision under pressure? Nothing about it passes the smell test. Joe also pointed out something everyone missed, the mysterious decoy guy. This person showed up at the scene yelling, "I did it!" and was immediately arrested, but not for the shooting and for serious unrelated charges. Convenient, right? Because once someone's locked up under those kinds of accusations...
Maybe he thought he was gonna shoot him. Maybe he's a patsy. Maybe he did it.
I feel like he's a plant. Did you see the video? Did you see the person doing the investigating on his mom's Facebook?
No.
You haven't seen this? Have you seen that, Jamie? Some dude online.
His mom's got a weird Facebook. I spill coffee.
Very trippy. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the more they keep looking into it, the more they're like, this doesn't feel like a real... It feels super fabricated.
But here's the thing, just like I was talking about when people are arguing on social media, it's all a part
Good luck getting any more interviews or answers from them. But what blew everyone's mind was when Joe revealed this same man had been spotted at multiple high-profile tragedies, 9/11, the Boston bombing, and now this. Joe's take was chilling. Either this guy has the worst luck in human history, or he's professionally insane, meaning maybe he's not just some random bystander. Maybe someone pays him to appear at these events and muddy the waters? The thought alone made viewers uneasy, because what are the odds one person showing up again and again at different national tragedies? It doesn't sound random, it sounds planned. And the fact that Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast voice in the world, is saying it out loud, that's a turning point. But just when you think it can't get any more bizarre, people started noticing something strange, something involving Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, and J.D. Vance, the vice president. The body language between them at public events had everyone talking. Viewers began clipping videos, slowing them down, analyzing their hugs, smiles, glances, and yeah, it didn't look like typical grief. Someone online asked, "When did it become normal to run your hands through your friend's hair when you hug them?" Another person pointed out, "Why are his hands so low?" Because seriously, when someone's spouse has just passed away, you don't wrap your arms around their hips. That's not comfort, that's chemistry. And then came the moment that stopped everyone cold. Erica was introducing J.D. Vance at a public event when she said, "No one will ever replace my husband, but I do see some similarities between my husband and J.D." Wait, what? Your husband's barely gone and you're comparing another man, a vice president, to him publicly? It didn't sound like grief. It sounded like something else. And then, almost like fate was doubling down, JD gave his own eyebrow-raising interview not long after. When asked about his wife's different religious beliefs, he said, "I do wish my wife would convert to Christianity because I believe in the gospel. Now people are connecting dots they can't unsee." Erica comparing JD to her husband, JD talking about religion and loyalty, both of them looking a little too close for comfort. No one's making wild claims here, but people are watching, and the questions are valid because none of this behavior fits the image of a devastated widow. After Charlie's death, Erica's choices have left the internet stunned. Her wardrobe at memorial events, way too bold for someone supposedly mourning. Her energy, almost excited. She's talking about new content and big projects days after her husband's assassination. She's done 3 speeches in under a week. 3. Most people can't even eat, let alone perform. The words she uses too, blessed, work, dream. That's not grief language, that's rebranding language. Even the way she smiles and laughs on stage looks off. Viewers pointed it out. She looks happy, not broken. She took over Turning Point USA instantly, started selling merch with Charlie's name, hosted his podcast, and even threw live events. While her kids, 2 little ones who just lost their dad, are at home. This isn't judgment, it's observation. People just can't understand how she moved on so fast, emotionally and professionally, like she'd been preparing for it. And if that wasn't strange enough, the courtroom scene added another twist. The alleged shooter, Tyler James Robinson, appeared at his first hearing, but something about the judge's ruling raised major red flags. Tyler was allowed to wear civilian clothes, not a jail jumpsuit. The judge also ruled that his restraints had to be concealed, and no media could photograph him entering or leaving the courtroom. Why all the special treatment? Why hide the man's image? All these details, every inconsistency, every unexplained reaction are stacking up like a mountain of unanswered questions. Candace Owens is risking everything to expose this story. Joe Rogan is using his massive platform to demand accountability. Yet the people closest to Charlie, acting like nothing's wrong, smiling, hosting shows, selling merchandise. So let's be real. At this point, nobody's asking if something's off anymore. Everyone feels it. The only question left is, what really happened that day in Utah? And why are the people in power working so hard to make sure we never find out? Now, drop your thoughts below. Are you buying the official story, or do you think something way bigger is going on here? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can see what's being hidden. Leave a comment with your theory, and I'll see you in the next one.